Good afternoon. Yep. So I am a poor speaker, and having a poor speaker in the lunch is okay. But I ate little, so you can expect me to notice, doze off on the stage. Great. So, small changes by large number of people can create a better world. Okay. That is what I kind of strongly believe in. And the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes, I want to speak about the 5 decisions that I have taken, the 5 changes that I have made in my own little life. Right. So, the first decision I took, right, not in this chronological order, but I would like to say in this order, right, is I fell in love with the vegetable market in my area, right, which is like 1 kilometer away from my house, which is every day buzzing with a lot of women, a lot of men, right, coming and selling vegetables, farm produce directly from their farm or from nearest sources. This old lady there, right, who sells tubers, her shop has only tubers, kalange, right, varieties of kalange, right, all from local, right, maybe 50 kilometers radius, right. So every time I go buy something from her, she gives me a very warm, happy experience. So before that, I used to buy from well-lit supermarkets, right? In the days before I took all these decisions, right? So I used to buy from well-lit supermarkets. From there, buying from this farmer's market was a great experience. So I kind of not there in the well-lit supermarket kind of a behavior, and I'm not even there in this current thing called what they call dark shops, right? So from well-lit to now all the shops are dark in Bangalore, I hear of, right? So this, I believe, is not just the happiness that I get, but the food that comes into my plate is less than 50 kilometers radius. Right? The amount of petrol that goes into my food has come down drastically. The onions that I used to get from Nasik, maybe at the supermarket, the tomatoes which would come probably from 200 kilometers away to the supermarket, right? Now, whatever my plate gets is like 40, 50 kilometers, okay? So my food as such does not have much petrol. It still has less petrol in it, because maybe the 50 kilometers radius it travels still has petrol in it, but not much. In my earlier work, I graduated, post-graduated, and then I worked in corporates for around 10, 12 years. Then life shifted. So in my earlier work, this is the second thing I'm talking about, the second change I got in me. In my earlier work, I used to I had to fly at least twice a week, right, for doing the same work, right? The same person doing whatever he could do from his same skills. I had to fly at least twice a week. From there to the changes that I have bought now, I hardly travel 30 kilometers a week. Okay, my home and office is like less than 5 kilometers. My children study in schools in which I can drop them and pick them back, right, close by. So the overall carbon dioxide I used to emit as a person, right, as this always thin looking, maybe 60 kilo or 62 kilo, that is my max range, right. Person, whatever I used to emit, I think thanks to those, cutting off those 2 flights in my everyday work, right, has come down drastically. The third change I want to talk about is I kind of quit watching TV, and I don't have TV at home. Okay. Ever since then, I see my imagination or my belief about happiness has changed. Right. Now, I don't have to have so many things as prescribed in the advertisements for me to be happy, right? I don't need so many things in my life, right? In my earlier house, there used to be a squirrel, like a group of squirrels, or maybe a gang of squirrels, which used to co-live with us. In my current house, there is one little sparrow which comes and is a kind of a permanent resident in one of the branches. So I feel that these small things that happens around me, right? I got the time to observe all these things, right? I kind of have the opportunity to look at the soil after the rain and see how many new seeds have grown up, right? So once you kind of rejoice all these things, then I'm very hesitant to go and buy for Diwali dresses and shopping and all these things, because the amount of time that I would otherwise spend on those things is quite high, right? And the amount of carbon emission that I would do in all those purchases is much higher, right? So I think my need for things after I switched off the TV, right? After I switched off from most such broadcast medias, right? I'm still a big fan of social media because that is the most decentralized media humanity could ever get, right? Because in one stream, I could see all your thoughts, right? In broadcast, it is whatever is broadcasted into me, right? That was defining my meaning of happiness, which changed. So the fourth change that I brought in, maybe Bala would be angry because the fourth change alone is what I was supposed to speak, right? But I think is what I did with my work, what I did with in terms of the skills that I use currently for my own survival, right? Is earlier in my life, in my work, I don't know who is getting the impact of my work. I spend 40 hours a week, but I don't know who is getting benefited out of it immediately. I don't know, because there are so many chains. It's a multinational global organization. But is it addressing any global challenges of today? I don't know, right? So the fourth change that I kind of bought in myself is, I wanted to see if this tiny little man can think of addressing some global problem, okay? So one thing that I'm always associated is how opportunities can change people, right? And the problem that we wanted to address is we want to see if we can create opportunities for the most unequal people in the society, right? And given an opportunity, can they come up a bit? Can the half bricks, as Bala's extremely well defined, right? Can the so-called half bricks lying around the city, right, who have not got noticed much, right? Can we really prove to the world that there is value that we all together create? So the half brick in me got excited about this idea, and the nature enthusiast in me took the idea of cloth bag. And we started working with women in Madurai. Madurai is my native, so I moved back to Madurai. That is the reason my radius became 30 kilometers in a week in terms of my overall operation. And within that 30-kilometer radius, we identified 2 clusters. Madurai has 100 plus slums, as they call officially. We work in 2 areas, and we create something called a decentralized tailoring unit. Generally, production by masses, right, versus mass production. If we have 100 machines in one place and produce, that is efficiency, right? We wanted to see if we can put 100 machines in different places, maybe at homes of people or places close to home, right, and make people produce mass, right? Can it still be efficient? That's the question which we are still addressing, working on, failing, addressing again. But if we manage to do it, then we are cutting the time, cost, petrol, all that is spent by so many people in traveling to factories, the fatigue that goes into them, the stress that they show in their families. All these things would be cut if people at the production level could also, especially in the textile value chain, if people could work from home or closer to home and still produce for the global markets, right? That is an idea that we are continuously working on for the last 7 years. And I think we have reasonably managed to make around 20 lakh cloth bags gone to customers around the world, and which should have hopefully reduced the planet from the weight of close to 100 million plastic bags. Right? That's the power of few women who joined together, right, and took control of their life. So, yeah, that kind of gives me my bread and butter also every day. And the fifth change that I brought in is I stopped believing I have solutions. In my work, there is a lot of young people who come and work with us. In my definition of young, I look at a resume and say if they are born after 1995, right? And I see that the solutions, the system, the economic system, the production system, the way we live, the way we consume things, the way we run businesses, these were all aspirations of my forefathers. They all wanted India to be in a certain way, right? That is how they designed. Maybe my fathers helped in producing it. And my generation, I'm nearing my 40, so my generation is kind of a benefiting out of it. But when I see an youngster coming and joining our system, I see a lot of anger in them, right? Because this system, which we all nurtured all these years, this economic system which we all nurtured all these years, globally has cut down more than half the forest from the world and has created an ecosystem imbalance, right? A total ecosystem imbalance. And this is the kind of an imbalanced ecosystem that we are presenting to the young generation, especially the children and the young generation. So I see a lot of anger in them. So have I addressed, even touched or scratched the surface of that problem? No. So I started believing the youngsters of today have the solutions and aspirations plus the need to solve the global climate crisis of today, right? So the fifth change I have brought in is I started following youngsters, okay, as a learner, as someone who deeply believes that you guys will save my children from the economic or from the climate change that could happen. And I really look up to you guys as youngsters who are taking up stage. Also believe small changes by large number of people can make a better world. Thank you.